Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Vaughn. This is the Super Kick, and today I'm going live to talk to you about Bray Wyatt, who sadly passed away. Triple H announced it, and this is heartbreaking, guys. Seriously, Bray Wyatt was only 36 years old. That's unbelievably young for a professional wrestler. I mean, Terry Funk passed away yesterday. Bray Wyatt passes away today. Bray Wyatt, obviously, a lot younger than Terry Funk. And today, I just want to talk to you about my favorite Bray Wyatt memories, my favorite Bray Wyatt matches, and just some stories about Bray Wyatt, man. I just want to commemorate and remember a guy that I thought made a huge impact on the wrestling business, and I think we should pay our respects to Bray Wyatt. So, without further ado, we're just going to start off from when I first saw this guy. I remember watching WWE NXT, and this was when NXT was a game show. And what did we see? A lot of weird stuff, but we saw a character named Husky Harris. Now, if you did any research on Husky Harris, like I was doing at the time, because I was 14, 15 years old, browsing the internet, and you find out that Bray Wyatt, or sorry, Husky Harris at the time, is the son of IRS. He's a multi-generational wrestler. He's got uncles in the business. He's got a younger brother in the business too, who we'll get to. And you think, hey, maybe this guy will do something. But he was under the name Husky Harris. And what do you think of when you think Husky Harris? You think of a cornbread country guy, and that's kind of what Wyndham Bray Wyatt looked like at the time. Just, cornbread country guy. And it didn't really resonate with the audience. Now, the thing that Bray Wyatt would move, I keep calling him Bray Wyatt because that's who he was, but he was Husky Harris. The thing that Husky Harris would do is he wouldn't win NXT, although I wanted him to. Kaval won. I really wanted Husky Harris to win because I saw a relatability in Husky Harris because I'm a big guy, as you can see. I've always kind of been like that. So I saw the relatability in Husky Harris, and it resonated with me a lot. So I was disappointed that he didn't win. But I wouldn't fret because he would join a group called The Nexus. And more specifically, he was mainly under when CM Punk was the leader of the New Nexus. And I thought, hey, this is great. I like Husky Harris. CM Punk's leading this group. I love CM Punk, obviously. So I liked the fit at the time. He didn't really do too much, though. He was just kind of running around there and backing up CM Punk, beating up other guys, hanging out with Mason Ryan and Michael McGillicuddy, another second-generation wrestler who was on NXT Season 2, who I also thought should have won maybe over Kaval, but I digress. So we saw these guys hanging out in the New Nexus, and same thing. Husky Harris never really resonated with that audience outside of maybe a minority in me because I've always liked the bigger wrestlers because I'm a bigger guy. So this doesn't really work. CM Punk sits on that stage, cuts the promo of his lifetime. Everyone's talking about it. And the New Nexus kind of fades into obscurity. We don't see Bray Wyatt, Husky Harris, for a while. Now, the next time that we see Husky Harris, he would re-debut under Bray Wyatt in FCW, paired with Eli Cottonwood, of all people, another NXT competitor, and that didn't really work out. Bray got hurt, and then Bray came back with two guys that you'll know, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, and that's obviously the Wyatt family. So we saw Bray Wyatt come back, still injured, managing this tag team. They were NXT Tag Team Champions, I believe, and there might have been another guy on there, but Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, those were the guys in NXT, and that was one of the first NXT gimmicks to really catch fire because, yeah, this guy talking like he's from the Bayou, and he's got the crazy, long hair, and he's got the two big guys with him, and Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. And it wouldn't be long before Bray Wyatt would eventually make the transition to the main roster. He would return from injury in NXT, actually had a match against wrestling legend Chris Jericho, which is cool when a veteran wrestler always goes down to the developmental system, works the future star and a future opponent, which is what Bray Wyatt ended up being. Bray Wyatt obviously would go on to become a main eventer in WWE. So Bray Wyatt would go, into the main roster and had a bit of a feud with Kane. I remember seeing Bray Wyatt for the first time on September 9th, 2013, and the atmosphere there was so cool with that music. I thought it was a sick thing to be a part of. I loved the entrance, every part of it. It was cool, it was kind of freaky, scary. When you left the arena, you saw a bunch of dudes dressed like Bray Wyatt, and you might have been thinking to yourself, oh my god, is that Bray Wyatt? But no, it was just some dude in a Hawaiian shirt who kind of looks like Bray Wyatt just normally, and the guy didn't even like professional wrestling, but he looked like Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt was doing his thing. It reminded people of Waylon Mercy, who was a gimmick back in the 90s, talked very slow, same kind of thing, had this cultish leader personality to him. So Bray would do that, and Bray would have his first WrestleMania match. And I kind of forgot about this. You know who he faced at his first WrestleMania? John Cena, and that was at WrestleMania 30. And I stand by what I said at the time. Bray Wyatt should have absolutely beat John Cena at that WrestleMania. It would have done so much for his character at the time, would have pushed him. Bray would eventually get there, but maybe he would have gotten there a little bit sooner if John Cena put him over. Cena started getting in the habit of putting guys over, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in 2015. He really should have started doing it in 2014 with Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt loses to John Cena, loses a bit of momentum in my opinion. One thing I didn't mention was his feud with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan would actually join the Wyatt family, and it was kind of like a weird puzzle piece in there, but you could make the argument that Daniel Bryan's big WrestleMania moment wouldn't have happened without him joining the Wyatt family. I know people are talking about that, and at the time I didn't like it, but I absolutely see that point, and I do kind of agree that maybe we wouldn't have gotten one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time if Daniel Bryan didn't join the Wyatt family. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. After his feud with John Cena, Bray Wyatt kind of finds himself in the mid-card, not really doing too much, feuding with guys like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and, just not really doing too much. And then the Wyatt family splits. And you see Luke Harper win the Intercontinental title. You see Eric Rowan not really have that much success. Luke Harper was kind of an awkward fit as a solo in WWE. Didn't show what he would as Brody Lee in AEW. But I don't think WWE allowed him to really explore that part of his personality like AEW did. So Luke Harper splits off. Eric Rowan splits off, Bray Wyatt's doing his thing, and he becomes the new face of Fear. But who was the old face of Fear? The Undertaker. So this leads us to another Bray Wyatt match at WrestleMania. This time, he takes on The Undertaker. Undertaker the previous year had lost to Brock Lesnar, and now looks to rebound against Bray Wyatt, and beats Bray Wyatt. Bray loses again at WrestleMania, and I remember at the time thinking, again, why can't this guy go over? He lost to John Cena, now he's losing to Undertaker. Undertaker, like I said, previously lost to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. So why couldn't he have put Bray Wyatt over at WrestleMania 31? I know that Vince is the one making the calls. Truth be told, Undertaker should have wrestled Sting that year, and maybe Bray should have wrestled Triple H that year, and Triple H puts over Bray Wyatt, and then Sting could put over The Undertaker. Hindsight's 2020, but even then, I think that would have been a better plan then. But no, Bray Wyatt, of course, without the Wyatt family, loses to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So if you're keeping track right now, Bray is currently 0-2 at WrestleMania. Lost to John Cena, lost to The Undertaker. But in retrospect, two of the greatest wrestlers of all time for Bray Wyatt to be facing at WrestleMania. So Bray moves on, and you're thinking at this point, if you're a fan of the product, man, this guy should be doing more. I remember thinking that too. Bray Wyatt should be doing more. Why isn't this guy in the main event? Why is he wrestling guys like Ryback? That was a payback match in 2015, coming off the Undertaker feud. But, just a lot of weird moves for Bray Wyatt. And then the Wyatt family comes back. They reform. This time, though, they have Braun Strowman with them. And Braun Strowman's this big guy. And if you were to look at Braun Strowman, you would say, that guy looks like he's a member of the Wyatt family. And Vince McMahon thought that and just said, hey, we want to push Braun Strowman? Let's pair them together. We'll put Braun Strowman and the Wyatt family. So that worked a bit. I mean, it was all right. Bray Wyatt still didn't really do too much. I would have had him in Intercontinental or US or World title feuds, which he might have been for the IC or US. It just never really got to that main event point at that point in his career. Now, Bray Wyatt would have maybe his biggest moment at WrestleMania because he would tie it up a little bit with The Rock. Now, they wouldn't wrestle a match. The Rock would actually defeat Eric Rowan quickly, but nice segment for Bray Wyatt to be involved with The Rock at WrestleMania. So again, if you're keeping track here, guys, we're going Bray Wyatt versus John Cena at his first WrestleMania, then Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker at his second WrestleMania, and then at his third WrestleMania, he does an in-ring promo with The Rock, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So clearly WWE wanted more for Bray Wyatt at the time, but just something wasn't really clicking. And then something that I thought was very awesome at the time would happen, and that's Braun Strowman leaving the Wyatt family, because that would set up Randy Orton becoming a member of the Wyatt family. And I liked this a lot, and I think a lot of fans like this too. Bray Wyatt teams up with Randy Orton, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and a guy that you would think wouldn't fit with the Wyatt family, but weirdly, it did. Randy would become World Tag Team Champion, SmackDown Tag Team Champion with Luke Harper in 2016, and it weirdly fit. And then we saw Bray Wyatt win his first World Championship. This was at Elimination Chamber 2017. Won the title. John Cena had just won the title from AJ Styles at Royal Rumble. He drops it to Bray Wyatt in this Elimination Chamber match. One thing I didn't mention, at the Royal Rumble, you know who won that year? Randy Orton. So that sets up what's going to happen with this? Bray should be a main event guy, but Randy Orton just won the Royal Rumble, and Bray's the leader of the Wyatt family. How does Orton fit in with this? I thought it was great storytelling at the time, but they had their match at WrestleMania. Bray, of course, was the WWE Champion. Orton challenged him, and then at WrestleMania, I don't really want to talk about their match, because I think we should be talking about the good that Bray Wyatt did in wrestling, and man, the lead up to that match was so good, but the match at WrestleMania was not so great, guys, and they feuded for a bit, and again, they had another not so great match. They did the burning of the Wyatt family compound. A little bit brutal. When Bray Wyatt was teamed up with Randy Orton, it was magic. When he feuded against him, and we'll get to this a little bit later, it just didn't really work that well. But Vince McMahon and WWE still wanted to do that, because I get it. Randy Orton's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. My guy Gary saying I'm from the UK and only saw Bray Wyatt live once. The Wyatt family, yeah, man, it was awesome, dude. I only saw him live once too, actually, now that I think about it. It was at September 9th, 2013, at Raw in Toronto, and yeah, you're right, man, the atmosphere in the crowd was awesome. And remember when he returned last year, and I'll get more to this, but when he returned last year, the crowd there was just on another level, man. It really did give me goosebumps, and that's something that really doesn't happen that often in wrestling sometimes. So getting back to this, Bray and Randy Orton would feud, and again, it didn't quite work out that much. And then they would go their separate ways, and Bray would kind of find himself just in the mid-card to upper mid-card, had some injuries, but would feud with Matt Hardy. And then Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt actually teamed up and they become WWE Tag Team Champions, which was a weird fit at the time, because anytime Matt Hardy's away from Jeff, it's just weird. And Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, the whole deletion thing was kind of weird at the time, but they got a bit of a push out of it, Tag Team Champions. And that ended up not really working out. Matt Hardy took some time off to heal some injuries, and that tag team kind of quietly faded away. And then Bray Wyatt was just kind of doing some hanging around a little bit. And then he left and came back and was repackaged as The Fiend. And he would come out with the Firefly Funhouse and this really weird gimmick where it's looking like he's Mr. Rogers instead of a cult leader. This guy's just full-blown, has the Firefly Funhouse with the Vince McMahon doll and the pig and all that stuff, man. Really weird, and we saw The Fiend become a product of this. So The Fiend was this scary character, in my opinion. I mean, I'm in my 20s, and I have been kind of freaked out by The Fiend for a while. So The Fiend, wanted to be let in, and then finally, Bray Wyatt lets The Fiend in, and we see this character with this crazy, scary mask, and you read online that this horror director and horror artist were working on Bray with it, and it is scary. I will tell you that right now. I was kind of freaked out by it at the time. Bray Wyatt has a feud with Finn Balor beats him quickly at SummerSlam. Another thing, Bray Wyatt would not have, that wouldn't be the first time they feuded. The feuded before, it was really weird. I said I only wanted to talk about the good in Bray Wyatt's career. There was a match that was supposed to happen in 2017 that didn't, Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor, and it was not a good feud, guys. Sister Abigail was involved. Bray, dressed as Sister Abigail, or was going to dress as Sister Abigail. Super weird, but Bray would get his ultimate revenge on Finn Balor because he beat him at SummerSlam that year, and after that, Bray Wyatt would go on to get a huge push, probably the biggest push of his career. He would face Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, and again, we're not going to talk about the bad, so let's just move past that. But he would win the WWE Universal title from Seth Rollins in Saudi Arabia, and Bray Wyatt would be stuck in Saudi Arabia. But I remember going to SmackDown, show after this Super Showdown that they did, where Bray Wyatt wins the WWE title, and Bray Wyatt was supposed to be on that show. Bray Wyatt was not on that show. So I missed out on seeing Bray Wyatt on that show. But man, when I tell you, this guy was so over and he wasn't even there. The fans were loving him. Every time somebody mentioned Bray Wyatt in a promo, fans were going crazy. Paul Heyman and Brock were there, and the fans cared more about Bray Wyatt, who wasn't there. Man, I remember looking at the kid next to me. He had a Fiend mask on. Like I said, scared me a little bit, to be honest with you. So, very freaky, which was a testament to Bray Wyatt, which was a testament to Wyndham, and the guy that he was, and the character that he was able to build there, man. Freaked me out to my core a little bit. I didn't like seeing this, 5-year-old kid, right? So that was freaky, but the guy sold a ton of merchandise, sold a ton of t-shirts as The Fiend. The Fiend was a truly unique character, and it sucks that he's not going to be, and I guess I really hope he is remembered as this generation's Undertaker. I had visions one day of me having kids and telling my kids, this is Bray Wyatt, and look how scary he is. And I can still do that through videos, but man, I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to, in future years, say, hey, that's Bray Wyatt, and look how scary he is. Oh my God, you're gonna get freaked out by him. That's just stuff like that, man. It's really sad that we're not gonna be able to do anything like that, and it's just sad, man. So Bray Wyatt, Universal Champion, and another decision that just shouldn't have happened. Bray Wyatt loses to Goldberg at a Saudi Arabia show. Again, man, wins the title in Saudi Arabia, loses the title in Saudi Arabia, this time to Goldberg, and another decision that really should not have happened. Bray Wyatt should not have lost to Goldberg in 2020. That is crazy. And set up a Goldberg and Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania that didn't happen because of COVID-19. But I stand by that. Bray Wyatt should not have lost that. It could have been Bray and Roman at WrestleMania, and it would have been just as good, if not better, than a Goldberg and Roman match. So he drops that, and then he has one of the weirdest, most unique matches in WrestleMania history. It's him and John Cena again. This is WrestleMania 36. This is the COVID WrestleMania, and it's a cinematic match. And they're filming it, and it's all weird, and Bray's in the dark, and Cena's in the dark, and Cena comes out as the NWO, and a lot of people were conflicted on this at the time. I personally loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was probably John Cena's best WrestleMania match. In my opinion, I'm not even kidding. Bray was able to do that. Bray was just working the character to a T at that point, man. And then the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. Bray Wyatt would become world champion again. He defeated Braun Strowman. And then the animal known as Roman Reigns would come out and destroy Braun, destroy Bray, and beat Bray for the title very soon after. And then Bray Wyatt started feuding with Randy Orton. And that was another, man, brutal feud. They feuded before, and it was awful. And then they feuded again, and it's the same thing. Really weird. Alexa Bliss gets involved. It's strange. They're supposed to have a WrestleMania match. I can't remember if it did have it or if it didn't happen. There was a lot of conflicting stuff around that time. I didn't really just, unfortunately, care that much. I thought Bray should have been doing more than that at the time, and, he should have been doing more than that at the time. And then WWE starts doing cuts. These COVID-19 cuts. This is 2021. They cut Bray Wyatt. They released Bray Wyatt from WWE, which was crazy. Bray Wyatt was a huge merch seller. Bray Wyatt was out of action for a bit, but a huge merch seller. And they come to terms with the release of him. They released Braun Strowman. Karrion Kross, a lot of guys were released kind of out of nowhere, and Bray Wyatt was probably the biggest of that because of how much merchandise he sold and because of the character that he had. So Bray Wyatt goes away, rumors that he's going to AEW. I remember reading the dirt sheets at the time, a year or two ago, and it was all Bray Wyatt is scheduled to show up at AEW. Big rumors that Bray Wyatt will show up at AEW. And then it never happened. What did happen was Bray Wyatt returned to WWE, and I loved it. I really did. That return that he just had last year was amazing. The videos leading up to it, we heard the rumors, Bray's coming back, and then we see the promos, follow the White Rabbit, and go to this website, and it was an interactive promo, and it was awesome. It was just ingenious, I thought, at the time, and it created a lot of social play for WWE, and it was just, again, amazing is a word to say, and great creative with it. And then Bray comes back, and he starts feuding with LA Knight, and they have their match at Royal Rumble. Before that, Undertaker comes out on Raw, hugs Bray Wyatt, puts him over, and we think this is the passing of the torch, officially. Undertaker's officially gone. Bray Wyatt is the new Undertaker. Run with it, man. And that was one of the last times we'd see Bray Wyatt. And that is sad. Triple H announced, of course, tonight that Bray Wyatt has sadly passed away. And it really sucks that I have to make this video and that I'm talking about this, but as I said at the beginning, I just want to commemorate this guy's legacy. I want to remember him. I want to share some of my favorite memories with you. I'm gutted right now, man. Like, this guy left behind young kids. We know the story about this guy. Everyone that talks about Bray Wyatt loves him. I don't think you can hear somebody saying really a negative thing about Bray Wyatt. Seriously. I mean, if you look before this, who was talking negatively about Bray Wyatt? I don't think anybody was, man. He had a reputation as being a great guy. He was a great character. I thought he was good in ring, and a guy who was always looking for ways to reinvent himself, and a guy who succeeded at that tenfold. Husky Harris wasn't working out. He comes out as Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, that isn't really working out. You bring in Braun Strowman, you bring in Randy Orton. That's not working out. Come back as the Fiend, and you reinvent yourself again. And then you get released. What are you going to do next? Then he comes back with this White Rabbit and Uncle Howdy and all this stuff. And it's really unfortunate that we're not going to get to see the dream that Bray Wyatt had for his character and that Wyndham Rotunda had for this character be fully realized. Bray Wyatt, unfortunately, will probably go down as one of the biggest questions in wrestling history. Would this guy have become a figure like The Undertaker? Is he like a figure like The Undertaker? I think he is, guys. The Fiend was just an incredible character, I thought. I know that some people thought it got hokey at times. I really did think it was scary. It was freaky. I thought it was just a good character for him. And he did a great job with it. He took the ball, he ran with it. A guy who should have, again, beat John Cena at WrestleMania, beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, not have lost that world title to Goldberg. I think Bray Wyatt left his mark on the business, and I think he will be remembered forever for what he did in, honestly, a relatively short time. When you look at the run of Bray Wyatt, 2013 to 2023, that's not that long, guys. And this guy made more than his mark. Like I said, he's going to be remembered like a guy like The Undertaker. It just sucks, man. And it's really sad, and I send my condolences to his family. And I know he was married to former WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman. So I send my condolences to her, to their kids, to his kids from his previous relationship, to his brother Bray, his brother Bo Dallas. I didn't really talk about that much, but Bo Dallas was great. Supposedly he was going to be Uncle Howdy, and that was going to be awesome, and we were going to see them finally get to really work together, and it just didn't happen, man. There's a great promo of Bo Dallas parodying his brother Bray Wyatt, and it's hilarious. I highly recommend check that out. But it just is unfortunate that he passed away, man. Like, it really is sad. I'm very heartbroken tonight about this, and I'm sure a lot of other wrestling fans are. So sending his condolences to his entire family, his dad, his brother, man. Like, I love you, Bray. Seriously. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt.